Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Ruby Girl Talk. And tonight I have some fabulous guests here tonight. Some awesome, wait a minute, let me correct that. Awesome, amazing, fabulous guests. And they are survivors. So we know that October is Awareness Month. And so two of the things that people are very aware of is breast cancer and domestic violence. And so today we're going to be talking about both of those issues. We're going to make awareness about what's going on in our community as it is concerning domestic violence and breast cancer. And so I want you to do is share it. I know you're out there watching because you know I start my show on time. So don't y'all be late. So I want you to push that share button because that share button is free. So before I introduce these beautiful women, these powerful women who are going to be sharing their story tonight, I just want to give you a little commercial, but I want them to go on my page, find this video and share it on your page. And that way your people can see it and they can comment and they can laugh along with you, cry along with you, and just enjoy the show. All right. So the Ruby Girl platform is actually it actually comes from Proverbs 31 and 10. Who can find a virtuous woman for her price is far above the price of the ruby. So this what I tell you, ladies. This special is just for you. It makes you rare, it makes you virtuous, and as always, you are so valuable. And so the Ruby Girl platform also is helping women model themselves after the Proverbs 31 woman. If you ever read Proverbs 31, let me tell you, sister had it going on. She was a businesswoman, she was a wife, she was outstanding in her household. Look, she took care of her servants. And so we use the Proverbs 31 as 10 woman as a model for what the Christian woman should be doing in the community. So, all right, go to rubygirl.net and get your t shirt. But better yet, because it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I'm going to be promoting let me make sure I give you the right. My journal is called A Ruby Girl's Guide for Exiting Domestic Abuse. I know it's a little fuzzy, y'all. It's not your eyes, it's just this. And so if you go to Amazon and type in A Ruby Girl's Guide for Exiting Domestic Abuse, it's going to pop up. And so this is what I want you to do this month. Instead of mailing it for yourself, if you don't need it, mail it to a shelter, a domestic violence shelter. Find one and mail it to a domestic violence shelter. If you don't know, put in the comments, I want to submit, I want a book. Just put I want a book and I'll give you an address to a domestic violence shelter. Because listen, these women need tools while they're going through this abuse. And that's what's different about this journal. While these ladies are going through this abuse, they have something tangible in their hand that speaks to them, that walk them out of that abuse, that gives them the inspiration they need. It doesn't pull them down, it lifts them up. So, all right. So, all my guests are in the room. Hey, Kanisha.
Hello,
Hey.
how
So,
are
I'm going to
you?
put you, I am fine. So, I'm going to have you
Good.
introduce yourself first.
Okay, thank you. My name is Kyneisha. I am keeping with the theme. I am a domestic violence survivor. I like to call myself a Lotus, which we will get into later, but I am the creator of Lotus as a symbol for domestic violence survivors, just because we grow through what we go through. And so um, that's what I do. I am in school for political science. I will have my bachelor's degree in December on my way to law school. I am an international domestic violence and just women's studies advocate. Um, I do a lot of championing for women's rights internationally, including domestic violence and just, having equality and opportunities throughout the world. Additionally, I am the owner of Fabulous Elite Business and Tax Services. So I tax services, notary services, business development, social media account management, and merchant services. We set up businesses and small businesses and women authors such as yourselves to accept credit and debit cards, to make sure you're able to capture all of your sales and just help you grow financially as well. I'm also about to delve into grant writing to assist ladies in gaining financial freedom and growing their business. So just an activist and advocate. I am doing as well. I'm volunteering with the NAACP to do a voters campaign this month. So just trying to help my community in every way that I can. I'm also a
Oh,
wedding officiant, a notary, so do many things. But that's just a little about me. I don't want to take up the whole show with the intro, so I'll stop.
2 hours later.
Right.
So the one thing I know you don't do is you don't sleep. No way you get any rest doing all that. When I tell you, now this is what I'm talking about, the Proverbs 31 woman. That Proverbs 31 woman, she tapped into every gift that God had gave her. And she probably
Amen.
borrowed some her neighbors. If you
Amen.
don't use it, gotta give it to somebody else. So,
Thank
Kanisha,
you.
I think you got some of my skills. Give me one or two of them back, girl. So, how
Amen.
can give us a website? How can we go to one of your websites?
Yes, thank you. So I do have advanced payment solutions 365.com. My Fabulous Elite Services, that website should be up next week. So you can connect with me on Facebook. That's the best way to reach me right now under Kyneisha Rodgers for all of my services. And then I also have a Lotus page. So I'm going to share that as well. That also has a private group for us women to join so that we can talk, we can connect, we can get resources, and we can get help. So,
Your Lotus
I want to
Journal.
help the ladies that are still in it to get out. If you need to call me, message me at any time, I'm here for you through that private group on my Lotus page. And then I also, like I said, want to provide resources and support for women who, like me, are no longer in that situation because it doesn't stop.
All right.
We need that support
Yeah.
all the way through our journey.
All right. I can hear your passion. I can hear
Yeah,
your
thank
passion
you.
for the cause.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kanisha. All right, Miss Tracy, give us a 30-second introduction.
Sure. First, I just want to say thanks a million for allowing me to be a part of the show. I am Tracy, free spirited. I inspire smalls. I am a self development coach and mindset coach, along with an inspirational speaker. I am a published author and published poet here in Atlanta, and I also owned a mobile party bus here in Atlanta. My mantra that I've lived by for the last 7 years at least is get free, be free, stay free. I am also a driver of domestic violence and breast cancer, and it's very dear to my heart. I am a big advocacy. I advocate for self development, self empowerment, women development. I'm just like a very free spirited person. And like I said, I enjoy helping ladies find their individuality, tapping into how authentic they are, tapping into their gifts and their talents, utilizing it to be an instrumental blessing to the people that they come in contact with, and not just the people they come in contact with, but with the world in general, utilizing their gifts and talents and embracing their uniqueness, along with just teaching them the fact that self care is vital and prioritizing yourself in regards to self development and how critical it is to be thinking critically on a daily basis. And that is what helps me, helps us to maintain a happier, healthier individuality when we're going through, whether it be domestic violence or breast cancer.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much. You do a lot too, so you and Kanisha be up all night talking, huh? I love it. I love it. Jasmine,
How
now
you
you heard
doing?
all that these women do. And now you're last. Go ahead, Miss Jasmine. Give us an
Yes,
introduction.
absolutely. I had my name is Jasmine Tillman, Jasmine J.R. Tillman. I am a self-published author, a ghostwriter, and I'm a retired coach. No, I'm just playing. I gotta play, but I'm a and I love to help women create their dreams of their lives and live by being strictly who they are. I am the CEO of Infinitely Authentic Enterprises and the admin of Infinite Dream Queens, urban fiction and romance writers. So I help women finish and create their writing goals, teach them how to become self-published authors, and I provide storylines for their books so they can get completed. First I'm a child of God. Um, and I'm excited to be here. See, I had Tanish down, y'all. I can't. I was doing everything the child was doing. I'm like, hold on. I had to slow down because I wasn't sleeping. I already know I know the struggle. But I'm very
See,
excited to
that's
be here. I'm also a DD
mhm.
survivor as well, and I'm excited to talk about it tonight because this is the first time I'm actually going to talk about it publicly.
Wow.
Wow. I'm
Yes,
glad for the opportunity to be able to give you that platform to be able to put a voice to your pain because I believe you only get over trauma once you put a voice to it. It took me
that's
until I was grown. I never thought about what I went to until I was an adult. And I never thought I should talk about it. I always thought it was something that should be in the closet. But once I started talking about it, that's when that trauma, that hold that it had on me, it started breaking off. So let's get started tonight, ladies. Thank you for those wonderful introductions. And so, let's see. All right. I'm clicking too much now, y'all. So we'll get into the questions. Are y'all ready for the questions segment?
Yes.
yes,
Okay. All right, here we go. All right. Tracy, tell us about your awareness event. And it's on October the 30th in Ellenwood, Georgia.
Yes.
It's awareness. What's unique about it is the fact that it's for breast cancer and domestic violence. What made you combine these two issues?
Well, like I stated earlier, I am a driver of domestic violence and breast cancer. Therefore, I didn't know no other way to combine other than to have them both in the same area. Considering, October is the awareness month for breast cancer and domestic violence. So I figured that it would not serve that much of an impact to me to spread the word and the awareness if I didn't combine the two. So simply because I'm a driver of both, I figured why not combine the two.
So, you've been through domestic violence and
Yes,
you've been through breast cancer. So, you're like a double survivor.
yes, I'm a double
Did you
driver.
have
Yes,
the There you go. I love that. So while you was in a domestic violence relationship, did you have breast cancer then?
I did not.
Okay, it's when you came out of it.
Oh, gee, it was maybe a decade thereafter the fact that I came out of the domestic violence situation. Yeah, at least a decade.
Okay. Okay. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about it, but definitely. Well, I love the fact that you putting both of them together,
Well, thank you.
because it seems to be getting a little bit more prevalent in society as far as domestic violence is. I don't watch the news, but I'll read the news and that's all I'm reading. All that's coming through my timeline is this woman was killed. This woman and her children was killed. And it seems like it's more prevalent since the pandemic. It's like the pandemic opened a door, for it. And
mm,
so Kanisha and Jasmine, share with us why you was encouraged to be a part of this event. Who wants to go first? Jasmine?
oh yeah, I go first. So
Okay.
like I said, like this is my first time actually speaking about my situation publicly. Because I've been through domestic violence with not only an ex lover but a family member. So it's extremely deep for me. So I'm just
Yeah.
to even talk about it. It's like like it's like how your heart get to pumping, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to be a part of this event because we have young ladies that look up to women, women my age and women older and everything that went through a lot of situations, but they don't want to talk about it. It's like me. Like I'm the type of person that I never had, because I lived a fast life, I never had the chance to really sit down and grieve anything. We had, it was like in my hometown, I'm from Toledo, Ohio. It was so many deaths back to back, and they still like deaths back to back. And even with like people in my close family, my family in Indiana, we had a whole family just pass off. Like I had a whole bunch of family members just pass off because they were older. And that got me, what is the word I'm looking for? That got me, it's a different word, but used to people just passing, or traumatic situations happening. So it's easier for me to push things away rather than dealing with them. So I just push them back like, oh, I gotta get $1 million so I can take care of my family. I gotta be successful so I can take care of my family. That's the only thing that I knew for a very long time. So that's why I'm excited to come and speak about the drastic things that I went through as far as me being a young woman, because like I said before, I got in the streets early. My mom provided everything I needed and did everything for me. But me and my sister were just talking about that today. Like we could have been one of them kids that were like, oh wow, we could have been like, she died. She said like we could have been one of them bougie kids looking on TV like, oh wow, that's crazy that happened to them. You looking at the stuff on TV, but instead we was with the people, we was knowing the people that was committing crimes and everything. So um it's just me being more open about what's going on so I can help these young women that's looking up to me.
That's good because these young ladies go through so much. I think about some
Yes.
of the issues these young ladies are facing, especially with abuse, having kids earlier.
Yes.
And when I was growing up, we were out here doing exactly what, the younger generation was doing, but there was a difference. We were not trying to have kids. We were not trying to be nobody baby mama. We were just
Mm-hmm.
glad to be out of the house, and we just didn't wasn't exclusive so much to one person. We was just having fun, being free.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so these young girls go through so much human trafficking, they
Yes.
fall into that OnlyFans. There's so many opportunity for
Yes.
them to be, how can I say, in the sex trade or whatever. They can just do a Facebook Live and start
Yes.
their own thing. And so a lot of these young girls are not valuing their life. They're not valuing their body. So I'm glad that the older women, as the Bible says, the older women supposed to teach the younger women. So I'm glad that you're reaching back because you know how it was when you were out there in those streets, and it's not out there in the streets, but death. That's the only thing that's out
Yeah.
there, death and destruction. So,
Yeah.
Kanisha, what made you want to be a part of this event?
Well, similar to Jasmine, I wanted to reach back. I was a victim of domestic violence. I was in a relationship for 10 years. I had 2 children out of it, and I went through several different ordeals in the process. And so, statistically, I shouldn't be where I am right now, but I
Mhm.
refuse to let it stop me. I refuse to let it be the end of my story. It's just a part of it. It really is a beginning because it gave me an opportunity to look into the lives of other women. I didn't realize how many women go through this. It's just astronomical. I mean, and when you talk about internationally as well, I'm writing my dissertation right now on human trafficking of women because it's such a big thing that's going on in this country. Like you said,
Yeah.
COVID has made it worse. The use of technology and Ubers and Lyfts, all of these things are making it worse. And then, like I said, it's just making the COVID situation made it more dangerous for women because they were sitting in the house with their abusers. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, a lot of times us women stay silent. Silence is one of the biggest perpetrators, one of the biggest fuels to the fire of domestic violence. Because the longer, the more we stay silent, That's what these abusers want. They want to separate you from your family and friends so that they can continue to manipulate you and turn you into what turn you closer to them where you feel like you can only rely on them. So we have to talk about it. And it just got to a point where I felt like if I don't talk about it, then I really went through it for nothing. What did I go through it for? Because I'm okay right now. I'm doing great. Like I said, I'm flourishing. Like I said, I call myself a lotus. I call us lotus women because we grow. We continue to grow and thrive. And that's what a lotus flower does in the midst of, murky and dirty waters where flowers are not even supposed to grow. The lotus flower still grows. It still reaches for the sun and it goes through whatever it goes through. And once it finally reaches the top, it's beautiful. It has a beautiful bloom with beautiful petals. And I feel like that's the part of my life where I am. Like I said, I'm living out my dreams right now because I've always wanted to, thrive in school. And now I'm about to have my bachelor's and go on to law school. I'm going down
Oh,
a path.
fantastic.
I'm breaking generational barriers and curses in my family. So I just wanted to not just do that myself. I want to help my sisters do it as well. So because we can get out of those situations, you are better than that. No woman deserves to be in that. And I just want to make sure that we all recognize that within ourselves.
Amen. All right. So, ladies, do you think domestic violence and breast cancer are the most prevalent issues arising in African American community, or you just think this is domestic violence and breast cancer is just happening for women, period?
Mm.
That's a good question that you ask.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it's just those two, DV and breast cancer, that's prevalent. And I mean, I don't have the statistics or done the research to say that indeed those are the two most prevalent. However, they are, prevalent. Now, how prevalent that I don't know, but just in general, and I'm glad that you said that it's not just happening with women, you know, because oftentimes they're men that experience, domestic violence. Some, experience breast cancer as well, right? So I'm glad that you asked that because just the awareness within itself is prevalent. And what really have me thinking oftentimes is the fact that with these major organizations and etc., all you see is pink, pink, pink. And I'm thinking, what about purple, 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 and bringing awareness to that? So, to me, in my mind, it makes me feel as if it's still not really being normalized, DV, domestic violence, because oftentimes what I've seen and noticed is it literally breast cancer overshadows domestic violence. Even like I said, if you look at the NFLs during the month of October, they're running to the field and they're have their pink on. So it it's a concern of mine that I have as to why is it. So I think that conversation should continue on in regards to how important recognizing domestic violence as well, being that it's in the same month as breast cancer. So talking about it, like Kyneisha indicated, is key to get it normalized and to allow it to become even more prevalent in the community, just in the community at large. And it's that stigma that still is attached with it, I feel, why it may
I
not be as
agree.
prevalent.
I agree. Cancer has overrode domestic violence. And honestly, until I wrote this journal and we were talking about it, and somebody was like, October is domestic violence month. And I was like, oh, because you don't think that. You think breast cancer. But I'm going to tell you the stigma that's attached to domestic violence is that people that's not in it is like, you can just get out of it. Where
Right.
cancer, you can't just wake up and say, I don't have cancer anymore. You can't
Mm.
just be done with cancer. Like
Mhm.
tomorrow I will no longer have cancer. But domestic violence, people look at it like you can get out of that. So that's probably why they push cancer so much. But I remember growing up that if a husband and wife got into it, the police wouldn't get into it
Right.
because they were like, that's between a husband and a wife. It took laws, it took women getting killed before they start taking domestic violence serious. They thought if a husband and a woman was married, that's a husband and a wife, there you go, was married. That's what married couples do. They fight and
Yeah.
everything. Because I remember growing up, and I remember my mother and my father, they would fight. I was like 4, and I would see them going back and forth and everything like that. But to me, I just
Mhm.
blocked it out in my mind, like, okay, they silly. Even at 4, I realized that that was not that was something that wasn't right. It wasn't a good dynamic in their relationship. But down south, even now, you still can get away with it. They still don't take it as serious. In my small town, I read all the time about domestic violence incidents and how they just kind of like brush it off or people get off or everything like that. And so, but it's serious. It's more than you just stuck with this and they get in your mind. And people don't
Literally.
understand that. And then they will literally kill you if you try to get away.
Yes.
These men are very adamant about ain't nobody else. If I can't have you, nobody else can. And I don't think people understand how manipulative these men can be with women. You can be a
Yep.
strong woman, but they
Mhm.
can break you down into where you can't make a decision until you are completely dependent. And what you said, Kanisha, about silence and separation, those
Yes.
are they two tools. Abusers, that's their tools. They silence you and they
Yep.
separate you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so it's like 8:56, so we're gonna take a small break, ladies, and
Okay.
then we're gonna come back and we're gonna hear about their story. So what we do during the break is I go out and see if anybody was brave enough to put a comment out there. If anybody was brave enough to make a comment or just to see what they're saying, hear a little encouragement from them. So let's see. Let's go out here and just look a little bit. Oh, we got some comments. So they don't always come up, but Renee said, Miss Tillman, you do a lot too. So Jasmine,
Absolutely.
you're busy too. You right there in the midst. Even though
Right.
you said you niched it down, I still heard about 2 or 3 things that you doing, girl. Ghostwriting, this and that. El Michelle is out there. And El Michelle, when I met her, we were on a speaking platform, and she talked about how she was married to a narcissist
Mm.
Mhm.
and the things that he did to her and how she had to get away from him. So she's like a narcissist, I would say expert or a
Mm.
speaker about that, but her story is very powerful. And then Renee said, I love the combination too, purple and pink. She's a purple person. So she's like, combine that purple, combine that pink. So we have a few more people out there watching. Thank you for watching so much. And I thank everybody that's made a comment out there, everybody that shared this post, because you never know. Some woman could be in the thick of the darkness, and this
Mm-hmm.
is the light that pulls them out. This is the hope that says, you know what? I can get out of this. I can get away from this man. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to go to the second part of the show. And so the ladies are going to be sharing their stories. So we're going to start with Jasmine. Jasmine, I want you to tell us about your domestic violence experience. I know this is your first time speaking publicly, and I want you to maybe first talk about the signs you missed in the beginning. Okay?
Yes. So you know
Okay.
how when you know that saying when somebody says when somebody show you who they are, believe them. When somebody tell you who they are, believe them. I was young, so I was 16, going on 17 when I met this guy, and he was I think he was 19. So we were young, but he came off very flashy, and he was very, 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 very popular, and everyone knew who he was and everything. The first sign I would say I missed was, me being young, he was putting his hands on his ex-girlfriend. So I brushed it off because I'm like, oh, so me being me, you know how we were just talking about how it's a lot of women that, just not valuing themselves. She's one of those women that didn't value themselves, but I didn't know that. me being, like I said, I was sheltered a little bit. My mom let me experience, but first I was sheltered. I was living in La La Land. I was watching them TV shows and everything, and living in those personalities. And um, I didn't know. I thought every girl was like me. So that was my first time knowing that women don't value themselves within the body. And I gotta laugh because I felt goofy because I was young though. But yeah, so I thought it was just, oh yeah, she's just this type of person, so that's why he's doing that. That's why he did that to her. First time I missed, I didn't like, I had empathy for her, but I just thought like, okay, I'm me and I don't do anything, so he won't do that. I'm gonna give him a reason to. So as we got along in our relationship, we were on and off for 6 years. I was so deep in because he was doing him. He slept with a lot of my family members, a lot of my friends, and and he would used to tell me that when because first, I'm not gonna lie, I put my hands on him first because I found out he was doing things with he was embarrassing me and messing with my friends. So I did put my hands on him first. And, I don't like that. He reacted, the first time was a slap. So, and I'm like, and I thought I deserved it because I'm like, okay, put my hands on him first. He kept telling me to move. He slapped me. Then, the second time it was where he, pushed me off the bed and everything. And, I'm just kind of laughed it off. I'm like, wow, like, why would you just do that? Like, I'm just like, really? Like, you just pushed me off the bed? When the third time was push me on the ground, because I didn't want to stay. I wanted to leave. I had to go to work. And I'm figuring out, he, like I said, he was very popular, messing with a lot of women and everything. So I'm like, I'm still, what did I say? I made a promise. So because I'm a Scorpio, so I made a promise. Like, I'm gonna keep this promise to him. I promise that I'm gonna be loyal. I ain't gonna leave his side, and I ain't gonna sleep with nobody else. This was like, I went like 3 years. When I was sleeping with people, he disappeared on me. I was sad because he just had me. I'm just like, I never had anyone like him before to give me that type of attention, give me that type of love. Because my dad was running the streets and stuff, and doing him. And it got deep from there, because I think the a few times, the one time he actually, like, well, how do I say this? Like, first, like, he put his hands on me to the point where I blacked out. So, and my face looked crazy, and I still had to go to work at McDonald's. And they put me in the front. They ain't put me in the back to make some burgers. They gonna put me in the front taking orders. So I was embarrassed. People like, "What happened to you?" And I'm just like, and I brushed it off. I brushed it off. Like, I thought it was. I didn't think it was normal, but I'm like, okay, maybe because I put my hands on him. Like, so he did that. He reacted that way. And he didn't apologize. He told me, you shouldn't have been doing that. So I thought it was my fault. I kept saying, okay, it's my fault. It's my fault. I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have did that. Under the influence, I shouldn't have did that. So it was it was pretty deep. I thought I was so in love. I thought this man was my soulmate. I just kept like chasing him for years and years, and because he gave me this feeling that I never had before. But I can't say out of this entire experience that he taught me the number one thing that no one else can teach you, well, besides God, which was self-love and to put yourself first. He was one of them to do that. And I was so, like, that was my first heartbreak. I felt like I was gonna die. Like, for 8 months straight, I was on the phone with my dad. It did bring my dad closer. I called him every single day for 8 months straight, and my dad would just be so calm, like, okay, baby, like, it's gonna be okay. You good. 8 months straight, like, it brought me closer to my dad. I didn't tell them. I didn't tell none of my family what I was going through. I just told them what was going on, and they just be looking at me like, are you for real? I'm like, yeah. Like, because me and my best friend kind of laughed stuff off because she went through a similar situation with his friend. I'm not gonna, go into too much to her story. But yeah, so it's yeah, like, it's not it's the mental thing, like you said. Like, it's so deep because you think it's your fault. This person's showing you this type of love you never had. You think that this person is like not no, like no not like not no one else, and he's bringing this happy side out of you and everything. But at the end of the day, it's all manipulation. But I can say for him, he told me like in a couple years in, I want to say probably like 6 years, he like, I'm not for you. You too good for me. Like, I I don't want to, I hurt your feelings. I know who I am, and this is who I am. And yeah, that's my story.
So he knew he was a monster.
Yes,
When a
yes,
man tells you, I'm not good enough for you, please, ladies, believe him. You know, and
true.
part that comes with part of one of the spirits that come with a man like that is the spirit of rejection, because they know how to reject you to set you up to make you want them. You
Yeah.
know, and you think it's the feeling, but it's actually a spirit that's attached to them,
Hmm.
because they reject you and then you feel like you're not worthy. And only way you're going to feel worthy again if you get reconnected with them. But thank you, Jasmine, for sharing your story. And you are
Hmm.
young,
But
16 years old, to be experiencing that at
yes.
16. And for that young man to be 19 and have that much anger. But a lot of our young men out here are walking around angry, full
Hmm.
of anger, don't know how to release it. Only way they know how to release it is they release it on us. You know, they haven't
Yes.
been taught conflict resolution. They haven't been taught how to channel that energy from
Hmm.
anger and make it to be productive. But thank you,
Yes,
Jasmine. Thank you.
absolutely. And
So
last thing
Kanisha,
with, oh, I'm sorry.
uh-huh.
Thing with that, and when you say that they haven't been taught, my cousin actually seen his mother out, and she asked like, "Why your son be doing my cousin like this?" And she's like, "I know, I'm sorry. He saw it happening to me. So you're definitely
Right.
right. Yep.
Yeah. So learn behavior with him. Isn't
Mm-hmm.
that something?
All of them.
We think when children or we see something like that, we won't do it. But our minds are just programmed so different that it's like, I'm gonna mock that behavior, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Exactly.
All right. Kanisha, tell us about your domestic violence experience. And then at the end, give us 3 tips to help women exit that relationship.
Okay, great. My experience, it kind of, like I would say, it kind of caught me off guard. I I didn't have a lot of um trauma in my childhood. I had my mom and my dad, and then when they got divorced, my stepdad. And I didn't see any domestic violence um in either of those relationships. I was in school all the time, like I am now, just a little bookworm going about my life. And so for me, I'm like the total anti-victim. Like I'm the total opposite of what people would think a person went through. Oh, you must have had something in your childhood. It wasn't like that for me. So I say that to say that, I wanna express the severity of this issue, because it doesn't just affect one area. It affects all women. When I was doing my research for my journal, I saw that one in three women are victims of domestic violence at some point in their life. Every 24 seconds. Think about how long we've been on this podcast. Every 24 seconds, a woman is abused. And we come from all walks of life. Sometimes it be your strongest friend. Sometimes it be your nicest friend. For me, it was my kindness. My kindness is what was preyed upon and what got me in that situation. He had been through so much in his life. I don't get into his situation, that's his story to tell, but he had so much trauma that for me, I was like almost like a therapist, you know, someone that he thought could help him through that situation. And then that's what kept me in there so long. It's a codependency. It was a believing that I could help make him better, and he would be okay. And it was oh, he's nice sometimes of the time. ignoring and downplaying. I had, like I said, I did research. That's why I love to do research. That's why I'm going to be over there. So I had looked up my background with him for my journal, and I had 19 cases of this. I had 5 orders of protection. I tried to get away from him so many times, but I kept on pulling back in with this sob stories and, oh, you gonna leave me like everybody else. I say that's one of their favorite lines. You're gonna leave me like everybody else, and just guilting me back into, well, let me not do that. Let me try, you know, constantly making excuses for myself when the issue is not me. I want ladies to understand that domestic violence is not a reflection of you. That's the reason why I said we're lotuses. We're still flowers. We're still beautiful and soft and gentle women. It's a reflection of them. As Dr. Dodd mentioned, they have traumas. They have emotional unintelligence and immaturity. They have these problems that are so beyond you. I'm sitting here like, I can help him. I'm not a therapist. I'm not licensed. And I'm going to help him with these issues that are way beyond me and that existed before I even got there. So, for me, if I have to say, because like I said, now that I'm out of it, for me, what was the final straw? We all have our excuses. Of course, I used the kids. Like I said, I used him. I used I can't even call it stability, but I used just what I was used to. So it was my new normal. And I was like, I didn't want to go out and have to venture and find out what else is going to happen next. And it was the opposite. Like once I got out there, it's like the light. It's so much out there. Like I was just like, man, the time I wasted, the time I spent in that environment. And now that I'm out of it, it's like I want to just, like you said, you asked for 3 pieces of advice to get out of the situation. First of all, you have to lean into your support system. Get you a support system. Because just like Jasmine said, I kept it away. Let me tell you, I have 3 brothers. I have a mother, I have a stepfather, I have a father and a stepmother. Why was I going through that alone? Lean into your support system. They're going to be there for you. Second of all, I would say it's 3 things. So the 3 things that I say are your best defense are going to be self-love, like Jasmine touched on. Self-love. You have to love yourself. And we have to understand what self-love really means. Because a lot of times it's lip service. We have to understand that love is an action word. The same way his actions need to line up with his words, your actions have to line up. If you say you love yourself, you have to really actively love yourself every day. Make sure that you do something to take care of yourself. Because we women, we love to show up for other people. We got to make sure we show up for ourselves first. So love yourself, self-love, make that a priority. The second thing is boundaries. Set yourself some boundaries. Set yourself some things that you will not tolerate from anybody. You don't care who it is. Because when you're going into the dating world, and like Dr. Dye said, it's so much manipulation that goes into it. If you have those boundaries in place, that man cannot manipulate you. So get those boundaries set in place beforehand. Learn yourself, learn what you like and don't like, learn what you will tolerate and you won't, and make those boundaries firm. And then lastly, I would say it's time. Because for me, I jumped into that relationship. I didn't even really know that person. The best defense for me, for women against abuse, is time. Get to know yourself, get to know that person, get to know how they tick, how they act when they get angry, how they handle conflict, how they show love, get to know their family background, get to know that person before you put those blinders of love on, so that you can make sure that you don't go through those situations.
Whew. Those were some great tips. Some great tips. And you can't just have there's no model for what a woman looks like that's in us. Like you said,
Mhm.
I can't reach back and say, well, your father abused your mom, or
Right.
pull out some things that would justify how you walked into the domestic violence. Domestic violence just happens through wrong connections at time. And like you said, not establishing boundaries. Some things have to be a deal breaker. With me, when you call me out my name, that's it. I'm done. We never get to that part of the hands laying on and stuff because I'll probably be the toxic one, to be honest. But just calling me out my name has always been a deal breaker. I don't care how cute you are. I don't care what car you're driving. Just that alone lets me know what's in your heart. You know, and so there's no second chances with me after that. And I learned that from watching my mom and my dad. I've always I stay away from mean men that
Yes.
are easy tempered or treat people around them wrong. It's just certain things that I had boundaries and I just would not cross. I only
Yeah.
been into a domestic situation just one time. That's all I gave him was one time. But I thank God that you got out of that situation. And you said all
Mhm.
those cases you had. So this was serious. This wasn't like a few
Oh,
slaps, a few punches. This man was literally trying to take your life.
and it's
And even
interesting
when
that
you
you
get
say
out,
that. I'm sorry.
yeah. Oh,
Oh,
that's okay. Go ahead.
oh, I was about to say it's interesting that you say that because I didn't realize the severity of it until I got out. My mom was like, "You could have died," and I'm like, "He was gonna."
Mm,
He had pulled a gun on me before, more than once. I was unconscious, like Jasmine said before. Woke up, like, what happened? I've gone through that a few times. I went through some stuff, and like I said, when you're going through it, you don't even realize the severity. Like this person, like you said, this person can actually kill you,
yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
not love.
No.
It's like that's the person that's supposed to protect you from the world. And if that person's
Mm,
not protecting you, who's gonna protect you from him?
that's a good one. Thank you, Kanisha, for sharing your story. So, Tracy, we just have a few minutes. So, you're a breast cancer survivor and also domestic violence, but I want you to tell us your breast cancer story and what advice would you give someone who is fighting breast cancer?
Sure. I got the news. I think it was maybe 7, 8 years ago. And for me, I don't focus on the years as to when I was diagnosed. For me, it's irrelevant. And I try to alleviate time as far as how long I've been free of being an breast cancer thriver. But yeah, I was asleep one morning and I had just had my mammogram and got the call. And, they told me that, I had breast cancer. And praise be to God, when we found out it was 0 stage. So praise be to God for that. However, the recommendation was for me to do radiation, which I did do radiation, 30 rounds of radiation to my left breast. And it was quite an experience. And even, meeting with the oncologist and, them telling me what they were recommending. And of course, the final decision was up to me as to what I was going to do. But what I developed that kept me sane cognitively was I was already an optimistic person, but just getting that diagnosis 7, 8 years ago, however long it was, it made me more of an optimistic person. And that's the way I started doing life, just like really enjoying and staying in the moment, keeping my vibration, my energy as high as possible. And what I would say is, to ladies that are chiming in, that's listening, the choice is up to you. Whatever you choose to do, whether you choose to do holistic, whether you choose to do nothing at all when you get your diagnosis, or whether you choose to take radiation, chemotherapy, and both. I would suggest, as far as recommendation, what has helped me, which I can only speak from my personal experience, after undergoing, the radiation, the oncologist telling me, you're probably going to be tired after radiation. And I said, okay. But I'm thinking in my mind, I don't receive that. So I said, okay, I got something for this. And I committed to 30 days to exercise. And consistently for 30 days, I exercised to combat the fact that I was told that I would probably be tired from radiation. So when you're given this information, take it like a grain of salt. Stay positive mentally, because if we're not mentally intact and have a cognition of a higher vibration, chances are you will probably swindle down in regards to just being diagnosed and thinking about it. So I kept a very positive mindset, attitude. I exercised along with having those 30 days of radiation. And what also helped me was I created mantras, which is like, okay, Tracy, you've been diagnosed with breast cancer. It does not mean that you're going to die any sooner than anyone else that eats healthier or exercise regularly. Don't sweat it. Get up, live your life every day. And then the second mantra that helped me, and you guys, if you would love, take on these two mantras, I told myself, Tracy, the reality is we all got to die one day. Get up, continue to live your life. So those were my mantras that I created once I had gotten those gotten the diagnoses. And then what I also did was that really helped me when I heard anything on the radio about breast cancer, I turned the channel because cognitively I didn't want it to get into my mindset. And even to this day, 7, 8 years later, when I hear something about breast cancer on the radio, I turned the channel. I didn't read literature about it at all. So that would be a recommendation as well. And like I said, this is coming from a personal experience. Whatever you choose to do, once you've made your decision, try not to listen to anything about breast cancer. Don't read anything about breast cancer, because the reality is you have it. You've made a decision as to what you're going to do. Stay positive, stay positive, stay positive. And it starts with your cognition mentally. And when I tell you those were my saviors, they really were.
Hmm. It sounds something similar to what Les Brown said as he was going through cancer. He said he would not let anybody give him a negative stories, and he read stories about people that had beat prostate cancer. He
Yeah.
said to encourage him and to put that in his mind that if they beat prostate cancer, he could beat it also. And I think he just during the pandemic, I know he was going through another cancer. I don't know if he's done with it or what, but you're right. It's a mindset. I had two friends that were going through cancer. One was a minister, one was out here, I just put it living her life, but she told everybody that she had breast cancer. And so, of course, everybody was praying for her. She was a hairdresser. So, no, nobody want to lose their hairdresser, right? And she was good. So, everybody was out here praying for her. But the minister didn't tell anybody. Didn't nobody know until she was gone that she had it. And I do believe that when you tell people, it's bombarding heaven with prayer because you got these people praying and interceding for you. You don't know. Some people have the type of favor. They pray a prayer and God is like, check, 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 done. You don't
Yeah.
know how they can get to the throne room where maybe you can't. And there's power in agreement. And I believe I had to look at these two women lives. I was like, this one, she out here for you. This one out here for the street. And then when you raise her up, she right back in the streets. And I was like, this one could have did so much work for you. That I would never understand. But I do believe that power of prayer, the power of intercession, definitely played a difference. And she kept getting up. I would say it was only maybe one appointment that
Yeah.
she told us we had to blow dry her hair. Other than that, she kept doing hair. She never stopped. She just kept showing up like she was healed. So,
Yeah.
ladies, we only have a few minutes. Thank you for sharing your stories. I want to give y'all each a 1 minute closeout, just 1 minute, ladies, because
Yep.
I want to end the show on time. So I'll start with Miss Tracy. I see Miss Jasmine. She getting ready. She looking good again. She back. So we're gonna start with Miss Tracy. A 1 minute closeout, please.
Sure. Like I mentioned earlier, if you want to just adapt to my mantra, which is get free, be free, stay free, which means get up every day, be authentic, live your life as if this is the only second that you have. And always, always, always be an instrumental blessing, not just to the people that you come in contact with, but everyone that you touch. Keep a vibration that's elevated, that's really high. And when I tell you, if you adapt to that, being of a higher vibration, it changes your entire world. It changes your entire mindset, your atmosphere. And like I said, just be free. Don't worry when you have issues. Give it to God. Let it go. Be free. Be of an instrumental blessing and be of purpose. Be intentional and don't ever give up on yourself. Don't ever, 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 ever give up on yourself. I don't care what's going on in your world. I care, but I say that to say that God knows and God makes no mistake. Adapt to that principle as well. God makes no mistakes. So get up, live your life, enjoy your life, and just make sure that it's pleasing to you and to God.
Amen. And Tracy event is October the 30th. It's in Ellenwood, Georgia. And Tracy, give them some contact information just in case somebody's in Georgia and they want to be a part of your event.
Sure. Again, it is going to be held here in Ellenwood, Georgia, at Pseudo's Bar and Grill, which is located in Ellenwood, on October the 30th, and it does start at 8 o'clock until about 9:30. So if you're in the ATL, Atlanta surrounding area, I myself personally, along with Kyneisha and Jasmine, we would love, 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 love to have you guys there to bring awareness to domestic violence and breast cancer. And you can
Okay, what's
follow
your
me on
contact
social
info?
media. Yes, you can follow me on social media at Tracy N, just the letter N for Nicole Smalls. Contact number 404-328-6685. My web address, which should be in the chat as well, is www.iamtracysmalls.com.
All right, thank you.
You're
All right, Miss
welcome.
Jasmine.
Hey, I'm saying,
Hey.
uh, my name, well, y'all know my name. It's Jazz. My Facebook name is Jasmine Tillman. And my group is Infinite Dream Queens, Urban Fiction and Romance Writers. So I was so excited to be a part of this event tonight and to share my story as far as me going through my situation with domestic violence and everything that I went through. And thank you for the opportunity.
And what's your website so we can get in touch
Oh,
with
girl,
you?
I'm
I
trying
put
to
it in the
think. My
chat,
mind. I'm
but
sorry, my mind is from. uh,
that's okay.
it's it's long, y'all. I might change. I might get. I'm gonna put some parentheses on there soon, but it's www.infinitelyauthentic.enterprises.com, and that's what it is.
Okay.
You can also find all the information in my group, in our group actually. Me and Kyneisha, Infinite Dream Queens, Urban Fiction and Romance Writers. Thank you
And
for
so
the
if you're a
opportunity.
writer, you're welcome. If you're a writer, you definitely want to be in her group. They have word challenges and they keep you on your toes. So if you're a writer that's not motivated, but you need to be motivated, please join her group. All right, Miss Kanisha.
Yes, thank you. You can follow me on Facebook, Kyneisha Rodgers, just like it's spelled on the screen. And then join my page. It's at Facebook. It's on Facebook. It's Lotus Woman One. So Lotus Woman One. I will be releasing my first journal for all of us Lotus domestic violence survivors. That should be coming next week. So I am looking for 5 ladies that I do want to gift the journal to so that I can get feedback and just make sure that it's really reaching the ladies like I would like to. Because again, I want to help you get out of the situation. I want to help you thrive and grow just like I am. It is such a wonderful feeling. I feel so much relief and peace on a day to day. And I just want you all to experience that. Like I said, as I continue to advocate for women locally, nationally, and internationally, um, please follow me and let me just continue to help you pour into yourselves and love yourselves and just continue to grow, continue to be a lotus, and always reach for the light. The light is always there. It doesn't matter what's going on around you, just keep going. And we are here.
All right. Thank you, ladies. I want to thank you all for sharing your stories and for being honest, being transparent. And Tracy, I know your event is going to be a success. I pray you have overflow.
Thank
Definitely overflow.
you. I
And
received
ladies,
that.
keep doing what you're doing. And Kanisha, I'll be glad to look at your journal.
Oh,
I'll be
thank you
glad to,
so much.
yeah, I'll be
I'll
glad to
send that
look
right
at your
over.
journal
Thank
since we
you.
have one that's similar. I definitely will. So everybody, thank you. So all this month, Ruby Girl is going to be talking about domestic violence. So I want you to tune in well, not every night, every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be here. If you tune in every night, I'm not going to be here. Just on that Tuesday, I'm going to pop up, y'all. So I want to thank these ladies for being brave, for being bold, and for being survivors. So we're just gonna sign off Facebook because it's over with, y'all. But thank you so much for your comments and thank you for showing up every week.